I'm Dr. Joan Bichard, and I am a Senior Research Fellow at the Helen Hamlin Centre for Design at the Royal College of Art, and I'm also a Professorial Fellow at the College of Arts and Humanities at the University of Brighton. And I worked with Paulina on a project called Family Rituals 2.0, and Paulina put this workshop together today on work-life balance. I thought it was very good. I thought it was really good. I think there was a little confusion about the geographies, the mapping exercise, but I've known that exercise for quite a while, and I've always been slightly confused about it. I kind of get the idea, but it's the communication that needs a little bit of work, really. And I once did part of that for another workshop, and I found it very difficult to communicate. But I thought the general, people talking, getting down to working together, was really instant. It seemed to work. There wasn't any uncomfortable silences, and I think one of the reasons might be because of work-life balance, because it's one of those things that it's something that we're aware of. It's one of the narratives in our society, one of these terms that comes up time and time again, that we think about and sort of flips in and out of our lives, but that we rarely get a chance to sit down and work with as a concept, as a narrative, as something that we're trying to achieve with great difficulty, because, as Paulina's workshop has kind of highlighted, we have conflicted pressures on us, and those might be based on gender and on our roles and on our identity and what we like doing and what we don't like doing, and just the whole swirl of stuff that's going on around us. I thought it was very interesting at the end that we suddenly talked about social media and the dominance of it in our life, but how much we are self-editing, and how much some people are not self-editing, and how insidious some people are finding it. And I'm beginning to think myself that these tools and techniques they're handy for one thing, but they're not very handy for another thing. But is that a generational divide now? Is it that this new term that's coming more to the forefront, the millennials, who are beginning to, which I suppose are the people born from 2000 onwards, they're now 16, they're beginning to think about, leaving school, they're doing their O-levels or whatever exam that they have now, and, within 2 to 5 years they're going to be in the workforce. What kind of skills are they going to bring to the workforce, which I do know some people are talking about and studying now, but that's another issue. But then again, in work-life balance, that could be, the thing about work-life balance is that I think different groups of people have different, it's like the scales of justice, isn't it? I mean, it's the same thing. I think different groups of people will have different perspectives of what that actually is. It's a bit like the concept of well-being. It's a lovely concept, but it's one of the hardest things to measure. Yeah. There's not a universal measurement for it.
So we've talked about social media, we talked about the millennials, you just brought up well-being. Is there a particular challenge relating to work-life balance and digital technology that you think needs more of a focus going forward from researchers, from organizations, from policymakers? What do you think is kind of the biggest challenge that needs a focus from an audience? I
think policymakers will try and achieve work-life balance, but they'll always try and do it from a cost-effective measure, and I don't know if such measures can actually be achieved. So therefore, probably ends up like most policy initiatives becoming a waste of money. because it tends to go out to the highest or the tenure that can deliver the thing for the cheapest amount of money, and that's not the way things maybe should be done. I think work-life balance can only be achieved by a healthier society. I think it's a social problem. I don't think it's a personal management problem, or it is, but that's a skill that maybe we should be teaching children at a young age, installing that. And at the moment, with the pressure that we put young people on for exams and everything, we're not teaching them work-life balance. So I think it's a bigger social issue. It's to do with our wider organisation and how we structure our society. And I personally don't think we can address that through technology or apps or social media or anything like that. It's almost like it's an internal thing it's almost like it's something you find within yourself. But you're the one who draws the line, which might be, somebody might say, well, that's obviously the benefit of living in a free society. But only some of us are lucky enough to have that. There's a lot of people who don't have access to that. And if we live in a free society, surely everybody has access to it.
But do you feel like it definitely has some type of an educational component that needs to be addressed?
Yes. Yeah, I think the same way that I think at some point it was decided in the school curriculum to teach children about money and how to manage money, which is very astute. It was something I was never taught. And I'm not going to say I'm bad with money, but I'm not great with it, that's for sure. It's something that can be taught, maybe, that's, recognising some of the dangers. I mean, just learning those within myself. What are the dangers? When does my work-life balance suddenly start going askew? It's very difficult because in work, if you enjoy what it is you're doing and it's taken up 80% of your time, where's the problem? If you're loving what you're doing, where is the problem? But every now and again, one has to sort of maybe take time out to refocus, to re-energise, to actually remember that you have pets and family and other social obligations, which many of us do, not all of us. Lots of young single people out there, their work is their life. For many years, my work was my life, and I had a very, very good time doing it, and I loved it. And there was no work-life balance because it was my identity. My work was my identity. But as I got older, I found that I wanted other identities, and that's when the confusion started.